Hi everyone, it's Gina. Welcome to my channel. I am an intuitive Reiki practitioner and life coach, and I've decided to start this channel to talk about things that are happening in my life and things that are resonating with me, maybe some themes that are going on that I'm getting insight about that I want to share and see if it resonates with you. Awesome. If not, then I'm sure there's something on YouTube that will. So anyway, thanks for watching. My last video, someone had requested that I talk about established belief patterns and dealing with some of the ones that are negative or that we feel are negative, and some practices to let go of them. And then my last video, I also talked about how I automatic write. If you're unfamiliar with automatic writing, it's kind of like journaling, except for you basically, or at least what I do, is I just take some deep breaths and really calm myself, go inward, and if I have a question, then I pose a question. Otherwise, I just say, what is it that I need to know right now? And things just come, words start coming, and I just write. And so that's what I did with this. I'm going to read what I wrote and then kind of talk a little bit more about it after I read what I wrote. So here we go. Clarity comes from going within. Belief patterns that don't feel in alignment come from a proof that your mind has gathered from the environment. The proof is actually coming from your mind's ability to focus on whatever it is that it wants to prove. So, in essence, your mind, when highly motivated, is capable of proving anything. That being said, the core of why your mind even started to prove this belief is normally the place to begin. Oftentimes, it can be difficult to consciously remember this core, especially if it is something that has existed through multiple lifetimes. When the discomfort of one of these outdated beliefs comes up, pause, breathe, and focus on your heart. This will calm your nervous system and any thoughts that are wanting to run rampant. In this moment, you are aware that the belief isn't true. How do you know this? Clearly, the knowledge that your established belief pattern is incorrect is resonating more than the actual belief itself. Let yourself flow into the energy of the resonance without judgment of yourself in any way. This is a system interruption, and the more you are able to interrupt the thought patterns, the more clarity you will gain. Not only in the moment, but as time passes, you will notice how much more control you have, not going into the overwhelm that the outdated beliefs can create. Okay. So I was very happy about what I wrote. So it makes a whole lot of sense. And these are things that I go over a lot in my coaching, because when you're starting to try to create a new life or create a change in your life, inevitably things come up that belief systems come up that are stopping you. Like, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? Why do you think you can do this? You're not good enough. All the things that come up that tell you you can't do that. Insecurities and things that you basically know aren't true. There's a part of you that has that knowledge. There's a part of you, the core part of you, that knows, or your soul, if we want to go there, knows that that's not true. It's a belief system that came from most likely your childhood. If you look at psychology, I believe, says that everything that you believe about yourself normally is in place by age 7. So, like the writing said, everything that your mind believes, so it comes from that core, and your mind then picking up on things in your environment and plucking them out and saying, see, I told you, see, I told you, see, I told you. And just adding it to the filing cabinet that you have in your head of why that's true. The more you can pattern interrupt or see it when it's happening. So it's sometimes really difficult. You could be in the middle of something and you can't just stop and take a breath and pause everything and pause a conversation, or be at work and you're helping somebody. Perhaps you're in some sort of, customer service. You wouldn't be just like, hold on a second, I need to take a deep breath and go inward and find out where this is coming from. I'm going to need you to wait. Obviously, there's going to be moments where you can't do that. But if you can remember that you were going through that, and when you do have a moment, to just really take that time, or if you have a practice, which this is really a wonderful thing to do. If you have some sort of meditation practice, or a practice where you just are just pausing at home to have a quiet moment, or a walk in the woods, or just even a walk out in nature, to just take some deep breaths and take some time to focus on that for a minute, and focus on why that happened, why it's not true, and just sit with it without judgment. It's the biggest thing, is to not judge yourself for having that belief system. So first we realize that it's not true. And then a lot of the times what we end up doing after that is judging ourselves for having that, for just making things harder on ourselves. And then the judgment just makes it worse. So if you notice yourself judging yourself, again, pause. It's, again, a system interrupt. So you're interrupting your default setting. That default setting, that is a habit. And anytime you interrupt a habit and have a different thought, I think 7 seconds is really what it takes. But if you can do, I know that to really, really change a habit, 2 minutes of not doing the habit, whatever it is, actually really get you in the habit of doing something different. But if you can sit with a different thought, or the understanding that something's not true, and not letting yourself go into it for at least 7 seconds, you're already on your way. So like I said, system interrupt, really sitting with it, taking time to just be calm and not judging. And then you'll notice that they start to not have that power over you anymore. Really realizing that you are in the power seat, not your beliefs. Your beliefs are a thought, right? And you can change any thought that you have. It gets frustrating when you feel like it's not changing and it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up, and that's where that judgment comes in. But if you can just know that it's taken however long, so let's say you've had it since you were 7, however old you are now, it's a habit and a belief that's lasted that long of your life. So to expect it to go away like that is probably not super realistic, but you can change it fairly quickly if you really think about, 30 years of, or 20 to 30 years of this belief system. If you can pattern interrupt, choose a different thought, understand that it's not true, not judge yourself for the thought, and have calm around that belief. Because a lot of the times what happens too is that you end up having anxiety over the thought. If you're just letting yourself go on default and letting that run rampant and letting that thought just kind of rule what's happening, and see, this always happens, and I can't believe I do this, and oh my gosh, I'm not lovable, or whatever it is, then you get so wrapped up and entangled in it that you're not even noticing necessarily that that's happening. So when you can notice that it's happening, take a second, take a deep breath, realize it's not true, don't judge yourself for it, and sit with the feeling. It actually will work itself out. And the more you do this, the better it gets and the more in control you are. And when it comes up, it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and doesn't have so much power over you. Nothing really has power over you, especially a thought, but we make it so. So the more you do that, the more you sit with it, the more it just becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, to the point where when it comes around again, you can be like, oh, isn't that cute? Aren't you cute? It's okay. I don't feel like that anymore. Or I don't see you the way that I see you. You're not big and scary anymore. You're just small, and you can come sit with me and know that you're not in charge here. It's a little bit of work, but it actually feels really good. And it feels really good to calm yourself like that. It feels really good to just pause and take breaths. It's something that it's a really good habit to get into anyway. Even if we're not talking about a pattern interrupt or changing the way that some of your belief systems have a hold of you, it's just a really good habit to get into. Any sort of meditation practice or anything like that really, really is. It can really change your life. Anyway, I hope that resonated with you. I hope you stuck with me. If you did, obviously it did resonate with you. I hope that you're having a wonderful new year. Happy New Year. And here's to making those negative belief systems into something wonderful, getting the gift. There's always a gift that comes from it, some epiphany or realization that you have about your life. They're actually really amazing. They end up being a gift. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Love you. Until next time.